Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. I am
Hey.
JB, and of course, with me is the mighty Mark Marsh.
Hey everybody.
So, today we've got some breaking news to kind of discuss. We are going to put this out, I think, the penultimate week of January, just to give us more time to sit with things. And of course, I did my own initial reaction, but there is an Instagram account called Behind the Scoobs, which have kind of come out of nowhere and I've been posting some pretty confidential stuff, which using my knowledge of doing interviews and stuff is accurate. So if this isn't an account posting rumors or fake news, from what I can see, at least as far as Haunted High Rise and Holiday Haunt is concerned, these are all 100% authentic. So I tend to think that this is a trustworthy account. And they posted a script page, the first page of a script of a movie called Scooby Doo Gremlins Getaway. And so if I'm kind of assuming that it's a legit account, then by proxy, I am assuming that this is a legitimate movie. What are your initial thoughts?
See, I've got the image right now looking at it. It does look like it's only the front cover, but it does look like it's a proper script, but it's all laid out.
Mm.
It could have some significant value to it, or it could just be one of those, let's just type up a demo script, see if the board members like it, that type of deal. Because what was it, 2023? That was like last year. It's just like if there's no light of it now, probably hear about it at the end of the year. It looks promising, but then how does someone get something like that? And then Gremlins Getaway. Now, initially, when I go to Gremlins, I'm thinking about the horror movie Gremlins. Um, 18, don't feed it past midnight, that type of level. And then instantly, if they're going to go down that route, how is that going to work for the Scoobies kid friendly? Because you're mixing family friendly, not so family friendly. It's like you gotta like balance the two out. Or if it's just normal gremlins getaway, then maybe it's like friendly gremlins and not too harmful. But then again, you look at the title of Gremlins, it's the style of it that matches the same as the horror movie Gremlins. So now I'm at a loss of words as to so it must be a team up with that one, which then is going to be like a proper yeah, so they do it. It's going to be the first Scooby Doo 18 movie. I'm sorry, but that's the only way in my eyes I can see that working perfectly.
Yeah, which is what leads me to think that it probably won't work perfectly
Yeah,
because I don't think there's any way that that's going to happen. But also, I think with the logos, as far as they're concerned, I know what you're saying, and I do think of it myself. But as well, if it's that early in production, it could just be a case of somebody copying and pasting the already established logo for the purpose of proof of concept or, just ease of let's put this on the front cover because there's already renders of that title that have existed for years versus this new title that we're gonna do. So it could be like that. I mean, this might not even be a crossover, as you say. It could just be Gremlins, but they've just used the movie logo because it's there. But again,
but
I
it's
don't
like it's
see much
so
point in that.
it sends out that so much vibe like, oh, okay, it must be aiming towards the movie Gremlins.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Um,
think of a good comparison, but I don't think there is one. But you're right, because it's so synonymous with that movie. And I get confused about the tone of this and when this was in production, because I agree they can either do one of two things as far as that property is concerned, and that's give us new versions of Gizmo, new versions of the Mogwai, and then it's the Scooby Gang trying to figure out why they're turning into these evil green gremlin monsters. But then at the same time as well, they could also go the other way where they are teaming up with Billy and Gizmo proper, and I just don't know how that's gonna work out because the only way I can see it happening is the Scooby Gang. They figure out that all the gremlins are actually robots and the monster controlled it all, like the villain controlled it the whole time. But then maybe there's a little stinger at the end where there's a real Gizmo, like you know what I mean, like that type of
yeah,
thing
so
where it's
it
all
could
fake, but
be
then there's a hint of oh, but maybe
it
they
could
are
be the
real.
main villains operating them, and they're all robots.
Yeah.
And he uses the legend of the Gremlins to send fear, so he can do his evil deeds, probably some insurance scam, or robbing some bank or some inheritance money. One of the three. It's the most pretty much that's the standard with Scooby Doo villains. That I did it for the money, the inheritance scam. It's something ridiculous, which they spend too much time on the actual devices themselves. I think you wasted so much money. Like I would have sold that to the military, to be fair, and you would have been set for life.
What I'm imagining for the Gremlins in this is a little bit like you remember the Wiki Tiki's little army from Aloha Scooby Doo?
Yeah,
Those things. That's what I'm thinking that they're gonna turn the Gremlins into.
and Shaggy and Scooby are just going to feed them past midnight because they eat any time of the day.
Like
So
that.
it's
I
just
mean, you know how it's gonna work out. Like they're gonna have a little cute gizmo thing, and Shaggy and Scooby are gonna take it to the kitchen to make one of those ridiculous sandwiches. They're gonna eat it, and then that's when all the haunting is gonna start. I mean, it's not a bad trope. I mean, there are some things that I can see working, like the dynamic between Gizmo and the Billy's family dog in the first movie. I think you could make a cute thing of the Gremlins calling Scooby woof woof, like stuff like that. That would mean something to people that like the first Gremlins movie and Scooby Doo. It's just ultimately. I think they're gonna try and tie it into the animated series Gremlins Secret of the Mogwai, which I've not seen. I don't know how adult that is or how, much of a horror that is. But I'm assuming it's quite watered down.
if
I don't
they
know.
do a crossover between that, then guess it could make sense. But if they're basing it on what the Gremlins I remember, I don't really see it. Like I would rather it be an 18 and proper horror with Scooby. It would never happen. Even if it was like if they made like a PG one, a lot of people are our age because when we look at Scooby now,
Hmm.
it's like it makes me feel old.
I feel that that's part of Gremlin's DNA, though. Like, I'm sure I remember somewhere that it was written
Gremlins
that
used to terrify me as a kid when
both
I first watched it.
Gremlins and movies like Indiana Jones, they were the movies that had scenes that led to a need for there to be a PG-13. Indiana Jones with the scene where the Ark melted off that
Oh,
Nazi's face. Gremlins, the scene where Stripe gets melted by the water fountain. And I feel like being for an older audience or teetering the line is part of Gremlin's DNA that I just don't think I could see them get watered down to such an extent in this. I don't know. It just seems so inherently part of their character that it wouldn't fully sit right with me.
it's a weird one with Gremlins. It's just I would love to see a crossover, but it's just thinking like, as long as they don't ruin it too much. It would make sense crossovering it with a show that's already on existing because at the moment no one really remembers Gremlins other than old people like us. So if they did a show, it makes sense to do a crossover to help that show reach out more. That it should have some sort of like pair, but if they're just doing it based on the Gremlins movie, there's just going to be like, why? Because most of the audience watching won't have a clue what Gremlins are, except for these cute little critters. Just be told you can't eat them past midnight.
I would just feel a bit cynical if this were to come out, really, because like the Mogwai series is quite recent, and so I wouldn't blame Warner Brothers for using Scooby-Doo to promote that franchise or to just remind people, oh, Gremlins exist, remember that? Well, we're gonna bring them back again for season two of Mogwai or maybe a Gremlins reboot. But then
It's
it's
like
like
trolls.
we had the Scooby-Doo and Crypto movie come out so soon after the Super Pets movie, and now we're potentially looking at the Gremlins Scooby-Doo movie coming out relatively soon after the new Gremlins show. Whereas we get original stories like Holiday Haunt and Haunted High Rise scrapped, now Scooby is just becoming Scooby-Doo and what's currently on
Well,
Warner Brothers' plan to release.
since they scrapped Crypto 2 and brought that out, there's still a miracle that Scoob
I mean,
and Holiday Hunt could
speaking about
happen.
Holiday Haunt, this is something that sprung to my mind as well. I don't know if this is your wavelength as well, but the second I heard Gremlins, I think of Christmas. I don't know if the second Gremlins movie is set at Christmas, but are we thinking that this is a Christmas special? Not maybe in its DNA, but it's going to be
But
set at
if
Christmas,
they were going to do the
snowing.
Christmas special, 'cause I get where you're coming at Gremlins, you don't really
Hmm.
seem like horror Halloween until you watch it. it just makes no sense announcing a Gremlins movie for Christmas. It's earlier in the year because we just got
I
past our
mean, it
Christmas.
wasn't
I don't
announced
really want to
though, you
remember
know.
Christmas right now because that cost me a lot of money.
Like it's at a script stage at least, so it could literally only be ready to announce for November or December 2025. Like we don't really know what stage this is at yet because this wasn't an official Warner Bros. Release. And actually, I do worry for that particular account as far as legalities are concerned.
Well,
But you
whoever
know.
leaked it was probably the person in the same boat as the person who leaked the crypto too online.
I was thinking it, you said it, so that is not on me, but it had crossed my mind because there is
They're
stuff
gonna go
there
through like
that
we got moles in
simply,
this industry to keep selling our secrets.
well, to be fair, I do think Warner Bros. Does have a bit
Do you
of a
know
leak
we'd be
culture
helpless if
problem.
we worked at Warner Bros. As soon as some new Scooby Doo came on,
Yeah,
deck,
just like, hey,
we were like,
selfie with the new script. Like,
I'll just send that to some of my friends only. Like,
I would
ah,
not.
it's on the
Well,
internet.
actually, oh no, I've
They come
no,
straight to us. Did you send out these? No, I didn't. You
like a
sure?
massive game of Among Us
Looks
in the
like your
Warner
mug in the
Brothers.
background.
It's just ridiculous. Oh, but it's interesting. I'm leaning towards Christmas, but that's just because of how inherent the first movie is for me. Like, when I think of Gizmo, more often than not, I imagine Gizmo with the Santa hat on. Or even recently at a Comic-Con, I got a Christmas ornament, which is the scene at the start where Gizmo's like jumping out of the toy box, out of the so I don't know. It's interesting. It's one of those things where they've announced Scooby Doo potentially crossing over with a franchise that I also really love. It's just I'm not sure how well it's going to mesh. It would be the same way that if they announced a Scooby Doo and Doctor Who crossover, two things that I love, and maybe for a one-off special like Children in
Well,
Need and stuff, I can
they
see
could do
it.
it. They could do it as a children Eve special. Would make
Mm,
sense. But doing it as a movie would just, Velma's just be like all mind blown. In fact,
yeah.
if they did do a Scooby and Doctor Who crossover, I'd love to see the scene where Velma looks in the TARDIS and then steps out and like, oh my god, it's bigger on the inside.
That would be my dream. And you know what? I do think that there is a universe where this could be great. But I'm just thinking, if they're still the people behind the scenes that made decisions such as Return to Zombie Island, Curse of the 13th Ghost, all we're gonna get is the gremlins aren't real. But there's enough like there's a little hint at the end that
God
says maybe
damn,
they
Return
are
to Zombie
real.
Island.
Like, oh, I don't know. I can just see how it's gonna happen already. And I'm like, well, why?
I just want to meet the people who approve Return to Zombie Island and ask them what the hell were they smoking before they approved that.
It's just I don't know. I'm getting a bit cynical when
Oh,
it
that
comes to
was the
stuff like
once.
this. It's like,
You know what the sad thing is? That's the only sequel in Scooby Doo history, and it sucks.
I mean,
Look at all the movies. That's the only sequel. I guess you could say the WE ones, but those don't count
and
because
there's
they're made
two
from WE.
Legos.
Yeah, but they don't count. They were promoting Lego games.
Could you argue Chill Out Scooby Doo as a sequel to Loch Ness Monster?
No.
Because of Del Chillman. I think you could argue it.
Not the direct sequel, though.
I don't know. Fred does have that line that last time I met we saw you, you were looking for the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah, but that's not
So
really, that's like a
it's a
coincidence. It's not really a sequel. It's
continuity
just like
sequel.
it just means they're in the same timeline frame, like a year or a month
Yeah, that's
apart.
true.
But whereas Return to Zombie Island was a direct sequel and they ruined it. Whereas the Lego games, they weren't actually sequels to each other, they were just Lego games. And the WE ones, they weren't sequels because the newest one never carried on from the last one. It was just a new
Mm.
event, which wrestling happens every single year. So it's like WrestleMania, to be fair, pointless. Whereas Return to the Island was the sequel that we've been yearning for, and they pretty much just took a shit on our car like a bird.
Oh, I mean, it is crazy. I see stuff though, like on Twitter, where people were reacting to that tweet, like, "Oh, this would be great, but I hope they don't make the Gremlins too scary." And it's like, then don't cross over with
Yeah,
Gremlins.
I
Like,
mean they're meant to be scary.
it's like, oh, Scooby Doo is crossing over with Freddy Fazbear. I mean, logically, they shouldn't make it too scary, but it's a bit like if you're crossing over with a horror thing, then they should do that justice. It's a little bit like we mentioned with Return to Zombie Island. If the people behind the scenes didn't believe that Scooby-Doo should have real monsters, then don't make a sequel to a real monster story. And if the public and Warner Brothers don't want the Gremlins to be too scary, don't cross them over with Scooby-Doo, which you could argue for the last 15, 20 years hasn't been scary. I mean, when was the last really scary Scooby? I mean, you can get gory like Scooby Apocalypse, but in terms of not Scooby Apocalypse, Scooby Natural, but in terms of an actual scary
I,
thing, I would argue the first live action, with the Mary Jane stuff, the
yeah.
demons. I mean, it teeters a little bit with Mystery
It
Incorporated, but I'm personally can't get scared at
because think now the
that type of
monsters aren't really that
medium.
scary, even though they try to make them be. I don't see them giving me nightmares that they once did.
We've had Creepy the Woodsman from Camp Scare. It's
That was
creepy.
good. That
That's
was
probably the
creepy, but
creepiest one we've had
that one took
recently.
me by surprise because when I first saw it, I was like, I'm surprised they went down this route. I thought,
Hmm.
well done. I love the serial killer vibe. Or what they should do is Scooby Doo or Murder on Orient Express. That'd be a nice crossover.
I mean, but that's kind of it. That's kind of all we can discuss, unless there's an official statement by Warner Brothers. All we've got is the title and nothing more. But yeah, I don't really think that people reacting to it or reading about it
Well,
properly grasp the
if they do a trailer,
implications.
I am not gonna get too excited because every time I do, it turns out bad.
I mean,
Returns
this
Online
could
was
be
the main
good.
prime
This could
example.
be really, really good. And I would be really happy if it was good. But the issue again would just be the underlying, but this is showing Warner Brothers that they can just make Scooby-Doo an advertisement board for what their plans are for the future, and that's gonna be okay. And I suppose it is if they do it well, if they're giving us good new original stories, so what if they want to use that to promote other characters? But for me, it's just like I kind of don't want it to just be Scooby-Doo gets pulled up whenever there needs to be something that has to be marketed.
They should have got the Supernatural team involved to be on board with the project or Scooby Doo and the Gremlins crossover
Mm.
because that Scoob Natural episode was the best.
Then again, though, we had a Scooby Natural writer producing Return to Zombie Island, so I guess
Look,
things don't
okay,
always work out that
they
way.
the whole team behind that sunk that. It's like the Titanic. That was an inside job.
Mm.
They sunk Return to Zombie Island. They tarnished it. It's like not one good of light came out of Return to Zombie Island. Not one. And I was excited with all those trailers. I put my heart and soul saying this is going to be the best regardless of anything, and it turned out shit.
Fool me once, shame on you.
I
Fool me
left a
twice,
very good 1-star review on Amazon. If I could leave no
still
stars,
shame
I
on
would
you.
have.
I want to see that.
How many stars does it have now?
That's a good point. It's a bit of a tangent, but I am curious. Return to Zombie Island. This is kind of topical because this is a metric from the last time we had a sequel to a darker story, and you can call Gremlins that because that scene where I forgot what the female lead is called, but where she's talking about her dad dressing as Santa.
It's got 5.5 on IMD, 4.5 out of 5 at Amazon UK. That's lies because I definitely gave it 1 star. Rotten Tomatoes is 32%.
Hmm,
And if we go by the Google's audience rating, 2.1.
that is mad.
You know
Hmm.
what's a sad thing is? I brought this on Amazon as a digital thing as well. That's how much I liked. I was looking forward to this. I wasted an extra 9.99 on shit.
Did you pre-order it?
Yeah, I pre-ordered on DVD and I got
Jeez,
the digital one as well.
that's an L. That is
Oh,
definitely an L. But yeah, I guess thank you so much to everyone for watching. Comment down below what your thoughts are on Scooby Doo Gremlins Getaway, if you think it's real, and what your hopes and expectations are for it. So yeah, Mark, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me over on Twitter at Luigi, Instagram at Mark Marsh 94, and on twitch.tv at Luigi.
That is amazing. That will all be in the description down below. Thank you so much to everyone for watching, and if you do want to see more, then please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.